Well, I'm certain that you've heard the name Dave Ramsey. You probably have seen him all over television. He's the guy with the big smile and says, let's have a happy day. And we're delighted today to have his daughter with us, Rachel Cruze, who works with the Dave Ramsey team. And we're here to talk about money and financial management. She is a financial planner as well. And Rachel, what a delight to have you today.
Oh, well, thank you, Perry. Thanks for having me.
Where are you? Where are you located?
I'm in Nashville right now, Nashville, Tennessee. Yeah, that's where our office is and all of it. So
okay.
We're here.
Well, you're looking good. Listen, I'm just kind of curious. Growing up a Ramsey kid, were you put on a budget before you had a bottle?
Yeah, right. I know that's the question I always get. What was it like growing up as Dave Ramsey's kid?
Yeah.
And we learned a lot about money and money management and how to deal with our money from a very early age. But Mom and Dad were not obsessed or consumed with this topic by any means, but they did set us up well to win when we are now out on our own as adults. We're able to win with money because of what we learned when we were younger.
That's wonderful. I think it's so important to teach money management to children, and I know that you're very concerned about that. When does that start in your mind?
As early as possible. I always say that a 5-year-old can learn how to work and get paid for that. So, I always encourage parents to put your kids on commission, not allowance. Allow them to work and get paid. So, even as a little kid, you can learn those kind of principles. And obviously, the older your children get, age-appropriate lessons will come into play for sure. But yeah, a 5-year-old can learn to save for a toy and work and pay for it.
That's wonderful. So you like commission instead of allowances.
I do, yeah. It teaches the kids
well, this
that money
isn't child labor, is it?
No. Just simple chores around the house, teaching them that money comes from work. It doesn't come from your parents' back pocket. Mm-hmm. And the earlier they can get that, the better, because, this generation has been labeled as a generation of kind of laziness and entitlement and all of that, my generation, mm-hmm. Which I don't think is always true, but I think you can move that obstacle and go over that obstacle if you start teaching your kids at an early age how to work and where money comes from.
All right, let's fast forward up to maybe the college years, and they head off, and maybe you're involved in student loans or daddy's money. Is that a good example?
It's a great example. Parents have got to talk to their kids about money, even when they're going to college. The parents need to ask the child, where are you wanting to go, and let's look at that option. So many kids go and just sign their name to a student loan and go to whatever college they want. And I don't think that's right. I think a parent needs to sit down and look at the options with their kid. An 18-year-old doesn't need to make that decision on their own. A parent needs to walk with them and say, okay, this is unwise to go to a private school and take out $100,000 worth of loans. Let's stay in-state. I'll help pay for the in-state tuition, but you can work too. So having the parents talk with their kids through this topic.
All right, now you just mentioned something there, and you can work too.
Yes, the magic word.
Yeah, go ahead and expand on that.
Yeah, it's interesting. Research has found that if the average college student works 20 hours a week, they can pay their way through an in-state school. 20 hours a week. They can pay their way through school. And it's crazy because student loans is such a hot topic right now. The election, everything is now, but student loans have been in the news constantly recently because it's maxed out over credit card debt. So there's more student loan debt in America than credit card debt. And so many people think that you can't be a student without a student loan, and that's just simply not true. And what's interesting is I've been traveling around the country talking to college students about this topic, and there's so many college students who are working 2 or even 3 jobs and working their way through school, having no help from their parents. And they're doing it, and they're graduating debt-free and graduating with money in the bank, wow. Which is not the case for the average college student. And so this idea that, work is child abuse is just absurd. You can work and go to school, and it's doable. And mathematically, you can do that and go to school without a student loan.
Rachel, how do young, say maybe high school or college students looking at the national financial crisis, how do they view it? Are the numbers so big they don't calculate in their brain, or are they fearful of it? How are they viewing it?
It's interesting. I don't think you can emotionally get to, trillions and trillions of dollars. And I think a lot of students right now are honestly probably concerned about themselves. How are they going to be able to go through school and work and save for things that they want? Sure, the national debt crisis is in the back of their mind, and it's obviously all over our TVs right now in life. But I think when it comes down to the end of the day, Americans, let alone just college students, are looking at their lives and saying, what do I need to do? How do I need to get my money in order for me to succeed in this area of life?
I know that your father is very concerned about the overall money management that people have, and I know that you get a lot of your resource and guidance from a biblical perspective, and I think that is wonderful, and I find it so interesting that your whole organization is so popular in spite of the fact that the people would say, you're looking at the finances from a biblical perspective? How weird is that?
I know, right? And it's interesting because when you look through the Bible and look at scriptures of what it says about money, it's just common sense. You know, it's not these crazy, obscure principles that you have to put into play. It's simply, to know the state of your flocks and your herds, be on a budget. You need to save up. In the house of the wise, there's stores of choice food and oil. A foolish man spends everything he has. So wise people save. So as you look throughout scripture and at the money principles that Jesus teaches in parables, or just scriptures of teaching, you look and you say, okay, well, this is just common sense. It's hard to do. The action is hard. But understanding it and getting it, the knowledge base, it's pretty easy. It's not, again, this obscure thing. It's pretty simple. And that's what's great is scripture and common sense come together.
So money management from your perspective is also a tool of evangelism?
Yeah, I think so. We always say that we're teaching about money, but we're also teaching about life and the end goal of people to know Jesus. And yeah, that's a clear message for sure, and a stance that we stand very proudly for. But people need hope in this area. When they're struggling financially, their whole world feels like it's crumbling. And you have got to have that foundation of Jesus. And so, we bring that message as well.
All right, so what do you say to young people about credit cards? Are they all evil? Are they all from hell?
They're all evil, yes. Yeah, I say, avoid credit cards at all costs. Just don't even sign up for them. Have a debit card. A debit card can do everything a credit card can do, except get you into debt. And so have a debit card. I have never owned a credit card in my life. And so it's doable. You don't need a credit card. And, they always give away stuff or, T-shirts or food, especially for the college age. College students are the #1 target of credit card companies. So I always warn college students, they're after you. You have a target on your back, and they're looking for you in life because they want you to sign up for their credit card first. And so they have to be aware of that and just stay away from them. Have a debit card.
So what do you say to those who are now coming to the realization they've mismanaged, they're in debt, and can they get out of this crisis that they're in?
Absolutely, yes. There is hope. There is a light at the end of the tunnel.
Okay.
What we always teach is to list your debts out, smallest to largest, regardless of the interest rates. And you pay minimum payments on everything, and you attack that smallest debt with everything you have. You do a budget, and you figure out, I can save money here. I'm not going to go out to eat. I'm going to take that money and put it towards that smallest debt and pay off that smallest debt first. And then once that's paid off, you roll all those payments you're paying on that smallest debt to the second smallest debt, and you pay that off, and it keeps going and going. We call it the debt snowball. It just keeps building up momentum. And that's interesting, too, because a lot of people think, well, you should pay off the highest interest rate first. That's mathematically correct. And so we go against the grain on that because personal finance, it's 80% behavior. It's only 20% head knowledge. Kind of like what we talked about earlier, it's easy to understand, it's hard to do. And when your actions change, that's when you're going to see progress. So getting that attaboy, that attagirl of paying off that smallest debt is key.
Wow, and I would imagine you have experienced a lot of people with tremendous satisfaction and even lifestyle change as a result of that.
Oh, it's incredible. On Dad's radio show on Fridays, they have the debt-free scream, debt-free Friday, and people call it and they scream that they're debt-free, and it's these families. And it's incredible because you hear this freedom in their voice. Because I think there is a spiritual aspect to money, kind of like what we talked about earlier, that there's this underlying current that when you're free and you don't owe anyone anything, there is a freedom with that. The borrower is slave to the lender, it says in Proverbs, and I believe that to be very, very true. So they're breaking the chains of debt and they're becoming free. And it's incredible. Sometimes there's families that call in and you hear these little kids in the background screaming with their parents. And honestly, it chokes me up every time I hear it on the radio because I think I was that little kid.
Wow.
My parents made a decision to change their life and it's changed mine forever. And so that's why I'm very passionate about getting to this younger generation and getting people the preventative side and teaching parents how to teach their kids because you can really change your family tree with these principles.
Rachel, your dad wasn't always this adamant about finances. I mean, he had his problems before he woke up, right?
Absolutely. Yeah, he filed for bankruptcy when I was just 4 months old, and my sister was about 2 years old. And so, yeah, he borrowed a ton in real estate, and that's part of his story is he filed for bankruptcy. And on the way out, really figured out, he says God's and grandma's ways of handling money. How do wealthy people, how do they deal with their money? People that have made money and have kept it. What have they done right? And so that's part of his story for sure. A big failure there, of having to file for bankruptcy. But it's an incredible journey and one that he's able to talk to so many people and reach so many people on that level.
How do you get, say, college students to be aware of these principles when they're going to go into a classroom, maybe into an MBA program that's going to teach them just the opposite: leverage, 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 leverage? And you know the story, and we've seen the failures. So how do you get them to contrast that?
If you look at, again, people who have made money and kept it, it's very interesting to see what they say about money. In Thomas Stanley's book, The Millionaire Next Door, 8 out of 10 millionaires say that the #1 key of building wealth is getting out of debt and staying out of debt. And so you look at these people and you think, okay, these people have kept it, not this broke college professor who's talking to me in the front of the room. Who's really done this and walked through this money situation over a long period of time, and how have they won? And we find the key is to get out of debt. It's hard to build wealth when your income comes in and your income goes out. So how can you keep it in? And it's amazing. You can do so many things. They say leverage debt in real estate and all these other places. And it's like, if you just have the cash and you save up, and you may start small, you may not get this grand thing at first. When you took out a loan, you could get this big thing. But if you pay cash and you start slow, start minimum, you can build your way up. And that's, how I believe that how you build wealth.
Wow. Well, this is fascinating. Are there materials available for families that not only need help for themselves, but maybe want to get their children on the right path?
Absolutely, yeah. We have tons of tools to help families. If you go to theDoveRamsey.com and go in the store, simply there's tons of stuff there. We have Financial Peace University, which is a 9-week course, and it's you can find that online. Type in your zip code, and a church or an organization who's teaching that, it'll pop up right there, and you can go to a class for parents. We have Generation Change, which is a youth Bible study for parents to walk with their kids through, and we also have a youth group version where youth pastors can teach this to their kids. And we have Financial Peace Junior for your little kids with little envelopes, the give, save, and spend envelopes, and the commission chart and everything. So we really do have a whole suite of tools to help parents, because again, so many parents just don't even know where to start. So hopefully those tools will be able to help them.
And all that available at theDoveRamsey.com. Well, Rachel,
right.
What a delight, as your dad says, where life happens every day. And there's
right.
a picture of it on the screen. The website's theDoveRamsey.com. Let me encourage you to go there. There's a tremendous amount of resources. Rachel, you're a delight. You're very exciting to talk to. Thank you for what you do, and the best to you and your entire team for staying at it and keeping God first in our finances. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. Thanks, Perry. Thanks for having me.
Okay, bye-bye.